Hey everyone.
Hello.
So, welcome. Cool. So this will be the first of our weekly rollback demo meetings. And this week, Alessio has very kindly volunteered. So just to agree on terms here, like Alessio is leading the way on the rollback. We're all fully responsible for whatever happens next. But I'm sure it'll be totally fine. But that's fine, right? Whatever happens, this is our sandpit, and we will use this to plan out the work we need to do. So before we start, we should let some people know, right? So should we, what do you reckon? Development, quality, and production is kind of the wrong channel, but like infrastructure, right?
Yeah, maybe infrastructure launch, maybe what's happening at GitLab.
Yes.
Which is kind of a merger and development.
Cool. Okay. I'll put some messages in those things whilst we start. Like, Alessio, do you want to give us a walkthrough, like just kind of talk through what you've got set up and then like go odds and roll back?
Yeah, sure. So I was in an attempt to have some kind of a dummy build where I was just adding a text file somewhere in the repo so that the rollback would be kind of no code changes. Then I realized after Yorick helped me merging it that because of I would say a feature, a bug, I don't know. In release tools, it was not possible to tag that build because changing a file that is not a code file, it just gave me a very small pipeline with only danger jobs. So basically when it was tagging, say, oh, this is not a full pipeline, I would not tag this commit no matter what. So we have a runbook for this, for tagging, but it didn't work as well. So I'd say, let me check what's the real difference between the last two deployments. And this is kind of spoiler because we will go through it in the recording. And there's just one single commit that is removing a feature flag, a front-end feature flag. So I'll say we can just roll back this and go with it. It's a very minimal change, and in my opinion, it's safe to roll it back, but let's go through it together.
So why not just go back to what was deployed earlier in the day?
No, because this would never be the case, right? So we said
if something failed in production, like the logical step would be us to take what was ever running last and revert to that one.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So we are doing, we will go back one version in staging, not just one commit. I mean, it happens that the previous version deployed is actually one commit less, but we would do the regular thing. So what we would do in case of say a production outage. So I think that, so when I run through it, I would love if someone can take some notes, maybe when we notice something that is not working, broken links or things that could be improved, so that we log them while doing it, so that we can
I'll try to be the note taker.
Thank you, Scarbeck. So, can we start, Amy? Have you left some messages?
Yeah, I'm pushing them out now, so yeah, go for it.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Screen share. Is it Chrome here? Here it is. Okay, so let me move it on the side so that I can see your faces and my browser. So the first thing that I did, actually also Myra did it. So I wanted to check the status of staging, and here is the version that we are running, and this is the branch. Now, what I wanted to do is this. So I wanted to check. So we have this delta here between environments, but this is not exactly what we need, because we want to see difference between deployments. So the place where we can find this is in our GitLab security repository. It's somewhere here in operation environment. And here we go. This is staging. Here is the list of the deployment with commits, right? So that's the thing. 1 hour ago, we deployed this one, which is 183080 and should be, yeah, exactly this one. And previous deployment was 4E59. And I guess if we go here in announcement, we should find it as well. Where it is. So this is staging completed, which is the one that is currently running, and this is the previous one. Okay, so it makes sense. I'd like to do this. So I will also check our documentation on the method. So here it is. This is our documentation repository. I was hoping to find rollback information directly here, but it's not linked in the home page, in the first page, in the index. But I know that it is connected to this runbook here. So just for the sake of, I would just go through the severity S1 incident runbook. Now, yeah, because I know that it's here. So there's this remediation options that tells us that if we want to do a deployment rollback, we should first check that the deployment contains no background database migration. Now, there's already an error here because this information is not enough. We actually don't want any type of post-deployment migrations because a single post-deployment migration, unless it's just adding an index, will make it impossible to run the previous version of the code. But let's go through this because it will give us some information. So here we go. Okay. This tells us how to check for background migrations, but it doesn't tell us where to find the list of deployments, the thing that I was looking before. So in theory, I should be able to run this on my, let's do it in the browser, would be easier. Okay. So these are the two versions, and yeah, I did some homework. This is the compare feature of the two versions. In this case, it's pretty easy because with only 6 changes files, we can just look at them manually, or we could do something like this, db nothing. I usually do this structure SQL, if I remember, is the name of the file. So if there's no structure SQL file, there are no migrations. But I usually check structure SQL, migrations in general, and just try to figure out if something isn't there. In this case, as I told before, it is just one commit plus the merge commit. This is the delta. And this is basically the thing that it's doing, is removing a feature flag. There's nothing else. Yeah, this is the controller pushing that feature flag information. It removes the tracking file, and then it's documentation and test. So I think we all agree that we can safely roll back this. It's kind of exactly the type of situation where we want to run rollbacks. So, okay, we know that this is not enough. There's not enough information here for us to figure out if we can roll back. And so let's go here. I would say that. So we checked the background migrations, also in general post-deployment migration. Let's go to deployment rollback instruction. So first thing, very big, important, before initiating a rollback, blah, 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 this link here, which is broken. So I don't know what this wanted to tell me, but I don't think we need to do anything special. We are just going to run the rollback. I don't know if someone wants to stop me. let's do it now, or I would just go on reading the information and we will
Keep
run
going,
the
I'd
rollback.
say. I vote keep going.
Okay.
If it was production, I may have a different opinion.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
on staging, keep going.
So that's the thing. I think it would be worth to repeat here again that if we want to roll back something, we need to make sure that there are no post-deployment migration, because just someone lands here and says, oh, I can do the rollback. No. So according to this, we can do this with a chatops command. We need to change this with the version that we want to roll back. And by my understanding, if we don't say minus minus production and minus minus canary, it should default to staging. So why don't we try this one? Okay, so let me start. I just cut and paste the first part. So what it is, upcoming release. No, don't do this to me. Done. I need the version, which is here. So we say this one. I will double check version before sending it, but let me paste the command. Okay, and then is dash dash rollback. So again, checking here. Dash dash rollback, the version 4E59, which is 4E59. So let's try it. 3, 2, 1.
We need
Hello?
some suspense music.
Yes, for next time. This is the moment where it all plays out.
Okay, let me see what is happening here. Okay, let's quickly check if the environment is correct. Okay, so there is no weird things like production, canaries. So yeah, if we break something, it's still fine. Okay, let me double check this one so that we can quickly see the variables. Nothing. Okay, the version is here. Check mode is false, so he's going to do something. This is supposed to be empty in this stage. So let's move on to the prepare stage. Check mode false. Oh, this is Chef, which is complaining. Yeah, no information, no, nothing special here. So yeah, here is okay. This is things is important. In a regular deployment, this stage here, Gitly, I mean, we have just GSTG Gitly, which is before the fleet. In our current rollback implementation, we have Gitly rollback, which is after the main fleet and is only on staging. This is something that I discovered recently. So in my mind, these things could just be removed from here and became a manual job at probably at the end of the pipeline without any dependencies, so that if we want, we can roll back Gitly as well at any moment in time, but we will not make Gitly rollbacks part of the pipeline. Just to
What about
remove.
prefect?
Same situation here. So my point here is this, that Gitly and prefect in general are usually extremely backward compatible. But yeah. So my point is that we have small changes, small deltas with our daily deployments. So it's safer to just keep the newer version of Gitly instead of just attempting a rollback, because for instance, Prefect has migration and things like that. So I'd prefer to, unless we know that the problem is in Gitly, then in that case, we want to consider rolling back Gitly, but I would just consider this as a separate topic.
That makes sense. When you say that it's only like this on staging, did you mean that it's not there at all on the production rollback pipeline, or?
Yeah, so because I wasn't part of the team when this pipeline was created, but I think that because of all the complexity related to migration, big changes, because when we started, this was kind of a couple of times a month is not enough, but I'd say once a month or twice a month or whatever. You could bet that there was a post-deployment migration in that package. So I mean, it was too early to think about rolling back. Let's say I think this is the more accurate statement. Moving from the old way before auto deploys to auto deploys was kind of, yeah. So I think we started with this, and maybe we also played a bit with it, but we still had big packages. So probably I suppose it's something that we started, but we never fully utilized because of all the complexity that we know about rolling back stuff. So that's my understanding. And in the reality is that this is only coded for staging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it definitely makes sense that we deal with Gitly in our future iteration, right? Like if there's, and like we don't know if there's a great need, and certainly it sounds like there's enough unknowns. So yeah, sounds good.
So
I have a question about the assets job while we're waiting.
Yeah.
Shouldn't these assets already exist? They're part of a prior deployment. Wouldn't they already be available?
I'm not familiar with this job. So do you know what does it do?
My understanding that what we're doing here is taking the assets out of our package and shoving them into object
A
storage.
CDN? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if this is a rollback, and if my statement is true, they should already exist, because I don't think we clean out that bucket at all. So we're just slowly acquiring assets over the course of time. So assuming my statement is true, we should be able to just simply remove the assets job entirely.
Yeah, I think this is something that is worth investigating.
In the same line, what is the migration job doing? It is actually
Nothing.
rolling back the migrations?
No,
nothing.
no,
Okay.
no, because it's running the old package. So in this
Yeah.
specific case, actually nothing, because it's the same set of migration. But
if the package had migrations, will it roll back those migrations?
No, because they had no code for rolling them back. You would just check. It would be exactly as you removing the migration from both schema, structure, and DB migration.
Mm-hmm. So should we remove it from this pipeline?
This is a good question. So on the first iteration, I will try to err on the side of safety and say, yeah, just let's leave everything, because those jobs should be idempotent. So you just do nothing, because you never know.
Be a good one to investigate though. Like I wonder if we could certainly do a test 1 week, right, where we consider taking them out, because I wonder what the following, like the next deploy will think of it if we didn't run them. Like we need to know what a deploy checks for before it kicks off again.
Yeah, it checks for, there's a table which is schema versions, I think, which has every row has the name of the migration, not the name of the number of the migration. So we just check the migrations on disk with the migration on the table and run all the missing one in order. So
it shouldn't matter, right? Like,
shouldn't matter. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, that could be a great test.
But shouldn't it be doing like a database rollback, like great command or something?
Nope, nope, nope. It is not doing because the code that is running on the deploy host has no knowledge of future migrations. First. Second, we don't want because we will break everything. Because yeah, we are waiting, so we can just reiterate this, which is I think is very important. So this is specific to Rails application. So Rails caches the table names in memory, which means that if you have, let's use version 1 and version 2, okay? So we have version 2 running and we are rolling back to version 1. And let's assume that it was a migration adding a column, okay? So version 2 is running and all the machine running knows that the table A has column A and column B. Column B is the new column. So if you roll back the migration with the service running, all the queries running on the table will fail because Rails caches the tables, and so it will never be select star from table A, but it will always be select column A period column B from table A. And if you remove the column, it will break.
But theoretically, we're coding with forward and backward compatibility in mind. So realistically, that column should be added, but it should not be used in this particular version just yet, correct?
No, and this is no. Okay, so it's safe to add because just when you restart, the new column will be picked up, and the old version can simply ignore it. It will ignore it because it don't know what to do. But when you have the new version running, and you remove it, it will crash. Because even the older version, if it boots and the table has the new column, it will cache that information. So in order to do so, you have to roll forward. Because you can basically you can revert the change that had the column, let's say, just an example, but you have to instruct the Rails application to ignore such column. This is specific to Rails. Because if you had some application that just code SQL queries by columns, it would just, you wouldn't have this problem, but that's the reality. So it is how it is.
Yeah, we actually have an elaborated process when someone wants to remove a column. And that process goes up to 3 releases because of what Alessio mentioned.
Okay, this process has a problem. It takes a long time to run.
Still quicker than preparing a revert MR and rolling.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, that's for sure. No, I was referring to the fact that if we want to demo this, it would take all the meeting time every week.
Is that job actually compiling assets right now? What's happening?
I have no idea what it's doing here. This is uploading stuff, right? Which is
just
already
syncing
there.
Assets to our object storage, which again, I think
are
should
already there.
exist. Yeah. So I think this is a job that's probably a candidate we could just simply remove during a rollback procedure.
Yeah. Because when do we clean up those buckets?
I don't know.
Do we?
That might be something we want to investigate when we. I imagine we'll spin up an issue to discuss the assets job specifically. That would be part of the discussion of that issue.
Yeah, sure.
So whilst this is running through, what are the kind of main pieces around rollbacks? Like what obviously there's the moment someone asks you to do a rollback, it's probably high stress, right? You're in there, incident zoom and you ask. So what do we need to have in place to make, aside from a working pipeline, but what else do we need to have in place to make rollbacks not terrifying for iteration 1?
I think we need a clear way to tell if it's possible to roll back. So the thing that we were trying to run at the beginning of this call was kind of, yeah, go here, look at this, look at that. But then there's a lot of cut and pasting and making sure that you're doing the right thing. And yeah, now we're just chit chatting and trying to break staging, but let's say there is a real outage in production. So I would love to have this process automated or streamlined, or say removing ability, less error prone, let's say.
I personally would love to see this kind of practiced more often, maybe used in a fire drill. I know we recently did a hot patch fire drill, but it would probably be wise to have the rest of the infrastructure team familiar with what this looks like, what we're looking for, what the pipeline is going to do. That way they could also chime in and poke holes into our plan and learn how all this is put together, just to have some familiarity. That way they know what to expect from us when we're on an incident call with them.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. And I'm going to, tomorrow morning, I'm going to write up the sort of first, like the draft version of rollbacks as an OKR. What do you think about measuring success of this in line with something like mean time to resolution? Or something like that? That's not a number we've normally been tracking on. I don't think we actually have good data for that right now, but we could certainly put something together. But does that feel like the most meaningful numerical measure that we could put in place?
Wouldn't it be hard to deal with success here if we never measured this before? I mean, going from infinite to or not available number to whatever number it is, it will still be a success, or at least an improvement.
I mean, to me, I agree with Alessio, like, because we don't really have a measurement. I think for us and our team specifically, just the fact that a rollback was successful and the application is restored, I feel like is a success metric in itself. I don't think we can contribute to mean time to resolution due to the fact that it may take some time before we are called upon to perform a rollback.
I mean, certainly true. I think we can certainly look through historical data, right? Like, and we don't have to look at every single incident. Like, we already contribute to mean time to resolution by picking revert MRs into pipelines efficiently, deciding how we run stuff, making decisions around baking time. Like, we just don't surface this information very widely. I think there's a great benefit though to us linking the kind of the why, in that although within our team, definitely confidence, like we could certainly have that as a key result, right? Maybe it's like confidence level within the team for everybody running this. But for people like outside of even infrastructure department, I'm not sure that that really helps them really, I guess, see what the value is of doing this work.
Why? Maybe we can consider having something like the fire drill that you said before, right? So every once in a while, everyone in the team should run a staging rollback, for instance, just to make sure that you are comfortable with the process, you know how to handle it. And so, yeah. I just forgot this. Sorry, Scarpa, just very quickly. I forgot that we should check the version running on staging before running the rollback so that we will see if we actually rolled it back. So this is the current situation. So I just forgot to do this at the beginning. Go ahead, Scarbeck. Sorry, interrupt you.
I was going to say that we should do a rollback procedure as part of our onboarding for the delivery team members.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of hoping that, so with having this weekly, is that everyone can have a week, right, where we roll back each week. And hopefully it gets less and less time consuming as we find things we can safely remove from the pipeline. And it gets more and more automated. You can, eventually one week, hopefully it's just press the button, right? And then everything happens.
We are rolling back.
Amy, for logistics, I'm removing what you just typed because I already typed it in the discussion section.
Go for it.
So this is the magic variable. So when you say dash dash rollback, there's this variable here, and it's the one that changes the order of the pipeline. I would suggest that we double check instead the variable name that our rollback feature, the one within the product, is using, and we standardize on that one so that when we are ready, we can start dogfooding the product feature.
Also, it's killing me that we use yes instead of like true.
Yeah.
If I recall, we just check for the existence that it is set to some value, if I recall.
I don't know. I was looking at the CI config. I'm quite sure is yes. It's checking for yes.
So wait, it took you all 32 minutes to issue a rollback command?
You missed us having to upload all the assets again.
I'm joking. I think this is great. I think this is great that we are doing this.
We did do some checks at the beginning, right, to make sure this was safe-ish.
Yeah, we went through the RAM books, the documentation, and finding broken links and things like that too. Yes, yeah.
Perfect. That's the way we should start things, from documentation first.
So the asset took almost 13 minutes. So if it's something that we can safely remove, will be, yeah, I mean, it would be good because the migration we run in parallel, but it's just 3 minutes, just the time of running it, checking it, and it will be a no operation. So that's fine. Definitely something to investigate. Okay, so Sidekick is rolled back.
Can you look at Kubernetes? Like, what will that actually do? Did we ever try this with Kubernetes?
No idea. So this is the pipeline.
We tried this in the past, and we did successfully roll back staging in the past at one point in time. I know I did it.
So this one? No, this is not the...
All of them. So that's the regional cluster. The other are the zonal clusters.
Okay, so this one rolled back already. So maybe you should check this from the dashboards instead of here, because it's kind of... I was, where it is here, go back to the pipeline. Another thing we should definitely remove is this one, the post-deployment migration. I mean, again, it should be a no operation. So I'm a bit on the fence on this because, so what I am assuming is that if we are rolling back, it means that the version we are rolling back to was deployed correctly before. So it means that both migration and post-deployment migration for that package ready to run. But in the interest of, say, problem mitigations or things like that, this is not stealing time because it's after the fact. So the problem should be already resolved. The only thing, so this is more of I think is more of a follow-up question for the future is, do we want to roll back production first or roll back starting from staging? Because I was thinking that if we are sure that our procedure is working, so my ideal approach to have a mean time to resolution short as possible would be drain canary, roll back production.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Staging will probably be running a different version anyway, so you probably don't gain that much from running back.
Yeah, but if we want to do this, I mean, we are just waiting for the pipelines to run. So if we want to do this, I think that we should consider rolling back staging just by default. So we do the roll forward, we go canary, whatever, and then we start rolling back staging, so that we are sure that that package can safely be rolled back, or that our procedure is still working, something like that, right?
So in an incident, you're saying you would drain canary first, rollback production, rollback staging.
No, I was saying that regardless of the incident, I will always roll back staging on just in an automated way. So we do, in a regular situation, we deploy to staging, we do the baking time, then we start deploying to canary, and we start rolling back staging. And then we move, regardless of the incident, right? So that
To test rollbacks or because
to test
of the
rollback.
versions? Okay.
To test rollback, but to test both the procedure so that the pipeline is working, as well as that the package can be safely rolled back.
But what if staging is
see.
running a significantly newer version? Like we deploy to staging, we are at canary. For whatever reason, the promotion to production is delayed. And then we deploy to staging again. If there's then an incident when we deploy to production, you would have to roll back 2 versions of staging to be sure if we can roll back on production.
Yeah,
and I feel there you end up potentially spending a long time rolling back on staging while your incident is still active.
Yeah, this is a good point. That usually we deploy more packages to staging than the one that we deploy to production. So
Staging
the
is
delta.
also used for other things, right? So that's could be quite disruptive for other people.
Well, not exactly. I mean, we aim to have a smooth rollback operation that it's kind of invisible, right? It just removed the feature that we deployed.
Yeah, exactly. Like having the feature, the code available somewhere where people can see it.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is that it's something like if you deploy, run the full QA, so you know that the smoke tests are passing, then you roll back, and then you redeploy immediately, right? Just for testing the procedure, not that you want to leave staging in a rollback state forever. I mean, it's definitely too early to discuss something like this.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some great points in the week where we should definitely be doing manual rollbacks like this demo, like maybe like more frequently, like before we automate. I'm not fully convinced. I guess like the unseen impact on that could be quite high, just in terms of like is staging in the right state for us to use it for other stuff. But I do like having some confidence in rolling back in the process, and also in the future, definitely having a confidence in, is this package able to be rolled back would be quite cool. almost feels like this is a whole other environment though. Like this isn't, staging is like multi-use, and this is like a different delivery environment where we actually are testing kind of deployments and rollbacks, right?
Yeah, makes sense. It makes absolutely sense. So I think that we should be able to see the rollback version right now because web fleet is completed.
So given that you're already like talking about these pie in the sky things, that wouldn't it be an option to think about whenever we promote, we automatically get a rollback? So if you're, Amy, if you're already mentioning another environment, it would be really good to think about like if staging can actually, if it could be like staging plus, or I don't know, what do you want to call it, where after we successfully deployed while the QA is running, we automatically revert in that environment. And that ends up being our data point. So by the time something reaches production, we will have a report of whether this is revertible or not, or sorry, rollbackable or not.
Yeah, and it might make, I definitely think we should put something together for that, because it will remove so much of the release manager pain of the moment where someone says, can you roll this thing back, right? You don't have to make a decision. You can just look at some test results, or chatbots can tell you, right?
Yeah. The thing should be in sync with our promotion step so that we always try to roll back to what is in production in that moment. So, which I think is what you were proposing, Mara. So instead of just doing staging, always when we have so many deltas that we never have. Yeah, I completely agree. Shall we take a look if the help page is giving us the good news?
Yes. Have you got dramatic
So
music?
this is, so this is the old one. Yay. We did it.
Now run smoke tests, please.
They should be, what it is. They should start here, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, almost there. So post deployment.
These pipelines, while fast, they're still slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we consider that maybe during a rollback, like I think right now, except for Giddily, we default to rolling 10% of the fleet at a time. Maybe during a rollback, we could do more.
Well, it really
Now
depends
for
on the
staging,
situation.
that's not going to change much, but
yeah,
maybe instead of doing 10% of the fleet at a time, we could do, say, 50% of the fleet.
Yeah, but this will, maybe we should do something incremental. Because I was thinking that if we are in an outage and maybe there's a bug or something that we are struggling with resources, we will start removing more machine. I mean, if they are broken, they are broken. So it doesn't matter, but I don't think we have a solution that is good for all the situation, right? Because maybe you just have something which is broken and you want to revert, but it's broken only on a subset of features that are relevant, but not outage inducing. And if you start removing big chunk of the fleet together, then you're just, the load will increase on the machine. So I don't know.
The fleet section wasn't, on its own, isn't terrible, right? Like it's all the additional steps.
Yeah, the fleet session staging is quite fast.
Yeah. Once it's on Kubernetes, it'll be faster.
Okay, I'm also looking forward to this one. I would love to see the deployment tracking. We should see it should be just a regular deployment, but we never tried.
I think it's going to track the wrong thing. Because what it does, it takes the last deploy and shelf the current one.
You should get an empty delta.
Yeah, so assuming the last deploy is still the one that we are reverting, it will be empty. Now, functionality-wise, I think it's fine. Because, it doesn't change much across whatever. I can see there being a weird case where if there is a delta and it finds merge requests, it suddenly
So-
starts saying, "Oh, hey, these are now in
Deployed.
whatever we just reverted to." I think, which I guess technically is correct because you are reverting them. But I suspect that the actual deployment tracking, what we show in the widget, not the labels, probably doesn't like this. In fact, I think it will still keep showing it as being in production.
Yeah, this
'cause
this
there's a
definitely.
physical row mapping that.
We will not mark them as rollback because
Right.
of the reversing the SHAs. We just give an empty list, so you will find nothing in an empty list, and nothing will be tracked as deployed. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
so
But
I
I'm
think
thinking this
long
one.
term, we might want to pass some sort of flag to this job and say, "Hey, we are reverting," so that it can decide, "Oh, then we just don't even need to do all this other stuff."
So I will take the Zoom selfie when our faces and the rollback sequence so that we can know that we did it. So what it is. Say hi. Okay.
Do we need to execute like all the Q&A jobs? Assuming this package was already rolled forward and then rolled back, the Q&A must have been like successful, right? To be deployed to Canary because we are rolling back.
This is the most important bit, though. Like, this is the, did everything go back into the right place?
Yeah, exactly. Because maybe you have something that misbehaves now.
Got it.
Like maybe the smoke tests are like the really big key bit, but yeah, I think assuming, I mean, at this stage, in theory, users are getting a great experience again. So it sort of doesn't matter if we spent half an hour running tests afterwards.
Yeah, and I was still thinking that in a scenario when we roll back immediately production, it doesn't really matter, right? Because you are not waiting for staging to roll back and wait for all of his QA. You do this on a side and just for checking if it's possible. Thing that Marian and I were discussing before, but it doesn't happen during the incident. So you already run this.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's probably more important to actually do this automatically and have a report so that once you actually do things in an incident, you can do. Yeah, exactly. Good point. Because all of this is slow, right? Like this is not a take on all of us that this is slow. It's not like this is the best we can do right now. It's the reality. But at the same time, if you're in an incident and then you're pulling that end on cord, which is let's roll back, you're going to be sitting on needles the whole time.
Definitely.
So you want to kind of have some confidence instead of just saying, well, I just triggered the command. So fingers crossed we are still online in half an hour or 2 hours.
Okay, so we are at time. We have these things running, so I don't know what we want to do. I mean, to conclude this regard, so it's more something for, Myra. I would just is that then I would suggest that we roll forward again, because the next auto deploy branch will be in 2 hours, something like that. 1 hour, 2 hour. I think 1 hour and 20, more or less, plus packing and everything. So I would suggest that we just roll forward again.
Do we need to do that because the difference is quite small? I mean, can we just wait for the another package to just move things forward? I will expect everything to be fine, but maybe I'm too positive.
I think for the first week, maybe let's be cautious. Do it earlier when more people are around, I'd say.
Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just the point is that maybe someone wants to check the feature flag removal and we roll it back. So either we clearly say that we are not rolling forward again and we will wait for the next auto deploy. I mean, it's fine. but I just want to make sure that if someone is checking for it in staging and say why the feature flag is there.
Yep.
What do we want to do then? So thanks, Skarbek, for writing all the notes down. What would be a good iteration for next week? So we'll run through this again next week. Other things that we could do, the documentation updates or like other pieces that would make this easier to get started?
I think for me, as the person who's taking notes, I would like to see our documentation updated, and I would like to see if we could figure out what to do with the assets job, because that took a lot of time of this call. I think those are two good things to start with, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, agreed. That sounds good. I will put together some issues on that you can all contribute to, mostly because we haven't got a working epic because I haven't yet written an OKR. So I feel like I'm the blocker here. I'll kick all those things off tomorrow morning and we can put them together. But yeah, it'd be great if by next Tuesday, we can run another rollback and see how that works. Who would like to volunteer to run the rollback next Tuesday?
And since nobody's speaking up, I'm happy to do it, although I haven't touched it, anything release related in, I think 2 months at this point, so it might be a bit rusty, but yeah.
It's all right, we can help you through it. We'll all be here. So yeah, thanks, Yorick. Great.
Amy, if you get the epic started, I'll get all these action issues created and linked to that epic.
Oh, great. Thanks, Skarbek.
Since I took notes, I think I'm
Great
better
stuff.
in tune to create the issues. So,
And just fresh information that we are go for the OKRs you discussed. So the two OKRs we have are going to be the OKRs. So good that we started on this.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alessio, for doing the rollback and all the prep for this. That was like super to see. Let's, I'm around for a bit. So Myra, let's check everything looks good for the next like few hours. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you all next time.